Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh, what a mistake this was from MSNBC. Your precious narrative, your precious, carefully crafted Democrat narrative. The only way that narrative stays alive, the only way that narrative stays intact is if you protect it. If you let the truth come in, if you let people ask real questions, and if you let people challenge your narrative openly and honestly, well then your narrative crumbles. It'll all come crashing down like a damn landslide. And that's exactly what just happened on MSNBC, bringing on a bunch of Pittsburgh Trump supporters, of course doing election coverage in the most important state ahead of the 2022 midterms. And this poor little MSNBC reporter tried to steer the conversation in the direction of January 6th, clearly in an effort to make Trump supporters look extreme and look like terrible human beings ahead of the election. And boy, did it backfire, and backfire badly. Because here's the thing, all leftoids have, especially on this issue, is emotion. A narrative that blows things out of proportion, a narrative that misrepresents the actual events on that day. Nothing but exaggeration and fear-mongering. Mud democracy, mud democracy, mud democracy. But what right-wingers have on this issue is nuance, research, details. And man, did they tear apart this leftist narrative live on TV on MSNBC. Absolutely volleyball spiking every single question from this dishonest left-wing hack of a journalist in the most glorious of fashion. Let me show you guys exactly what happened in this epic viral moment, which who knows might have even been convincing to some of the more honest MSNBC viewers. Let me show you guys what's going on, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so like I said earlier, you should have just left it alone. You crafted your little leftist narrative, your MSNBC viewers bought it hook, line, and sinker. You shouldn't have let nuance and facts enter the room. You should have left it alone, leftoids at MSNBC. Take a look at this.
Doug Mastriano was at the insurrection and he was photographed breaching one of the restricted areas. Is that okay?
Which area? Because I saw a video where Capitol officers were taking away barriers and unlocking doors for people. So, I mean,
they opened the gates.
So
and
it shouldn't be disqualifying for an elected official if they participated in January 6th?
He didn't strike anybody. He didn't hurt anybody.
And the only one that died was a protester there, not a Capitol police officer.
An unarmed female veteran was
That's
shot
the only
by
one that
police.
died.
That's the only one who died.
A police officer did die.
No, it was a
Heart attack.
stroke.
That's
not on site.
Caused by that. That's because
Right.
he shouldn't have been a police officer. It was one woman.
So
who was
what do
shot.
you make, though, overall of January 6th? I mean, watching that footage, it was pretty disturbing. I mean, there were people throwing excrement at the walls, and it was it's the Capitol.
It looked a lot like Antifa's actions.
Yeah, it looked
to
a
me.
lot, except on a much smaller scale. It looked the same as the Black Lives Matter riots.
That's what I saw the similarities to
around
be.
the country, not just
Minneapolis
one.
burns. Kenosha burns.
But so it's okay
Waukesha
just because
burns.
one side that you
No,
disagree with?
I'm
it's
saying
okay
Antifa
for-
No, I'm saying
infiltrated.
it's good for one, it's good for the other.
Anybody
I
who
don't see it
harms
that way.
anybody who caused property destruction, that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah,
but if you're
on
there
either
making
side.
your voice heard at the
Right.
people's house, no less,
Yeah.
that's, again, it's a fundamental constitutional right of an American citizen. And people should not be being held political prisoner because of it.
For misdemeanors. That's East Germany.
That's East Germany.
Tactics.
Yeah, that's what's scary.
It was an actual fiery but mostly peaceful protest. And the other ones that were the opposite.
Was the protest legitimate in your
Our
eyes
administration,
because...
I feel like, is using it as their Reichstag fire.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're using it as.
Do you think that President Trump could have quelled the violence that day?
Not him personally.
I don't think so,
I don't
no.
think so.
It started while he was still speaking. I was actually there. I was there to see what I thought was going to be the last time I ever saw Trump, little did I know.
So did he tell everybody to go and start rioting?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, and it actually, I stayed for the whole speech, like a ton of people did. And then we all headed to the Capitol because he said, let's go to the Capitol and peacefully let our voices
keyword.
be heard. And we get to the Capitol and we're like, what the hell's going on? Because it had already happened.
I'm pretty sure I saw Democratic operatives instigating people to cross
totally.
barriers.
Oh man, they absolutely owned her in that one comment.
It was an actual fiery but mostly peaceful protest.
That hit the nail right on the head, because almost every single individual there on that day was peaceful. Were there agitators in the crowd? Absolutely. Was there a mob mentality effect that took over the crowd? Absolutely. Did it devolve into something that it probably shouldn't have? Absolutely. But based on all of the video evidence that we have seen thus far, there was almost no violence. Most of the violence in the clips that we see left-wingers constantly linking all over the place is coming as a direct response to Capitol Police officers engaging with the protesters. The idea that it was all one-sided is terribly dishonest. In fact, most of what we hear from the left when it comes to January 6th is completely dishonest. It's all narrative used to fearmonger to score cheap political points heading into an election. And that's why it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And that's why this journalist looks so terrible. No Capitol Police officer died. The only people who lost their lives on the day were protesters. As one of the individuals said, she then goes on to say, well, a Capitol Police officer lost his life. Yes, but due to medical reasons. And Brian Sicknick, I believe, suffered a stroke a day or two later. Anybody who knows the basic facts pertaining to this topic would know that. Yet nobody talks about Ashley Babbitt, an unarmed, peaceful protester who was viciously gunned down by the US government for the crime of crawling through a window. What's more outrageous? Angry people who are trying to have their voices heard by walking into the Capitol in protest, or the vicious killing of Ashley Babbitt? To me, it seems pretty damn clear. And another point raised by an individual participating is the issue of how January 6 defendants are being treated. People with misdemeanor charges, people who merely existed on January 6th, being held in captivity, being held in solitary confinement without bail, being treated like political prisoners, being treated like terrorists by their own government for peacefully protesting. Was the overall protest totally peaceful? Absolutely not. But most individuals and a whole lot of individuals who are currently being held in solitary confinement were absolutely being peaceful. They were exercising their right to assemble, their constitutional right to assemble. It just happened to be in the Capitol. And their rights are currently being violated by this DOJ, by this regime. And we're supposed to be outraged over the actions of imperfect human beings who are frustrated and who are protesting, rather than being frustrated of the US government and their total disregard for human life and constitutional rights. Please, give me a break. Boy, did this backfire, just like January 6 has been backfiring. I don't know why leftists won't just let it go. It's a losing issue for you. You spent millions upon millions upon millions of dollars on campaign ads, media coverage, and a January 6 kangaroo court committee, and it's netted you nothing. Absolute zilch. Nada. Zero. Yet you continue to do it, thinking it's going to yield different results. Wake up, leftoids, it's not gonna happen. The American people are not buying it anymore. It started off as something that you could have had both sides come together on. You know, right-wingers have condemned the violent acts, the rioting of the day, unequivocally, across the board, over and over again. From small independent commentators like me, all the way to the former president of the United States. It could have been a moment of healing. It could have been a moment of actually listening and mending deep divisive issues in American culture. But instead, lefties decided that they were going to politicize it, that they were going to castigate the other side as being domestic terrorists. They were going to try to use it to pursue totally ridiculous criminal charges against the former president of the United States, completely misrepresent, edit, doctor his statements, persecute him with their ridiculous committee, and not even allow him a legal defense. They decided they were going to make it a political issue to benefit them ahead of the next elections. And while there is some outrage when it comes to January 6, I think people are more outraged by the constant politicization, the total dishonesty of the left, and the lengths that they are willing to go to get their power or get their hands on power. That to me is clear, and it seems as though the only people who don't get it are these self-righteous, dishonest Democrats, and it keeps backfiring in their faces as they refuse to take a hint and learn a lesson. This isn't the winning issue that you think it is. Mrs. Fancy mainstream MSNBC journalist gets owned on the issue of January 6th by a bunch of regular Americans, because the only difference is here, those regular Americans are able to apply nuance and at least be honest when talking about this issue, where the leftoid journalist operates in a world of dishonest narrative. And that to me seems incredibly clear. That's what I got for you guys though. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.